We are back on this wreck Tacoma. Last episode we focused on pulling out all that damage that occurred from the wreck. And the way we got that pulled out is because of this Vevor frame machine. That did all the work for us, so big thank you to Vevor for sending that out to me. But this episode we're gonna get it finished. We have a new hood on the way. We have to replace this hood because we switched to the newer front end, so that means we have to get a new hood as well, along with a new bumper, grille, headlight, and all that other stuff to make it a newer generation front end. Also, we're gonna go ahead and take care of all the airbag stuff. We gotta switch out the driver's airbag along with the seat belts and the control module, get all that fixed, and then we can start painting this thing. We need to paint the bumper, the hood, the new fender, and hopefully we can get the color to match the rest of the truck and we avoid painting the whole thing. Because if we end up having to paint the whole thing, that's gonna really add to our costs, and we're trying to get this thing done and out of here and hopefully sell it here pretty soon. At the end, I'm gonna do a cost breakdown on how much I have into it, how much I think I can sell it for, all that details. That is for the end though, because we are probably not done spending money yet. First thing I wanna go ahead and tackle is the interior. I wanna get all that put back together, the new airbags in, the new control module, all that stuff I wanna put back together and get it looking good. Make sure all that works correctly, because if it doesn't, then we'll have to figure that out. Get all that taken care of, so let's do that first. Got the whole interior put back together. Let me show you that. Got a used airbag to swap into here, good shape one. Also sent the seatbelts off to get rebuilt and put those back in. They work great, look brand new. After we got the seatbelts installed and the airbag, I went to hook up the battery and start it, make sure all the lights were off, and the airbag light was still on, so I had to do a little bit of figuring out to see what it was. Sometimes in a wreck, the clock spring will get damaged or just broken somehow. Not really sure why it breaks, but it happens in the wreck. So what I had to do was remove the steering wheel and replace the clock spring. And that fixed the airbag light. It was reading that this airbag was not connected. So had to replace all that and get it taken care of. Luckily, that was only like a $20 part, so no big deal. Got all fixed out and the airbag light is off. Also got the interior cleaned up a little bit. I'm gonna go back and detail it a little bit further once it's all done. So the interior is pretty much done. I also installed the new fan shroud. Got all that hooked up and put more coolant in it. That's good to go there. So pretty much it's ready to drive around. Don't have to worry about airbag lights or anything. You may have noticed that it does have a check engine light. I am looking into fixing that. I looked up the code trying to figure out what parts I need because I want to fix that before I actually sell this thing. So something I'm going to figure out along the way, but right now, let's just get this thing painted and worked out. It still runs and drives around the yard okay, so I don't think it's anything major, but we will look into that after we get it all painted and put back together. And that's what's up next. We have a lot of painting to do. We got the hood to paint, the front bumper, and this fender to paint. Now this hood is getting replaced because we swapped the front end to a newer 2012 to 2015 Tacoma front end. So what that involves is a new hood, new front bumper, new headlights and stuff. Makes it look a little bit better, I think. So we did have to order a brand new hood and we have that in right now. We're gonna have to paint the underside along with the top side. I've been debating back and forth of whether or not to paint it on the truck or not. And I decided I think I'm gonna take everything off the truck and go ahead and paint it, because I'm only going to be painting the fender and the hood and the front bumper. So I don't really see a point to having it all installed on the truck yet. I'm not trying to blend anything. I'm not trying to do any kind of fancy paint job because this truck is 20 years old. So it's not going to be perfect, and this paint job on it already is not in perfect shape. I would love to redo it all and give it like a really proper paint job, but that would go way over budget and I won't be able to get my money back. So we're just going to make it look as good as we can, and with the black color, I think I can match that pretty well. So that's what's up next. We need to take off this old hood along with the bumper and everything else on the front end, try to get that fender back off, and then we can go ahead and start painting. First, we gotta sand it all down, prime it, and paint it. And then we can put it back together. Let's do it. It is time to put this thing back together now. Finally time. Everything is painted, everything looks good. It's ready. Now, like I said, I wanted to paint everything off the car. That way I didn't have to tape everything up, and it went pretty well. New parts come with a black paint on it, and you have to scuff that up and put a primer on it, or the paint will fail over a couple years. Just something you need to note if you ever buy any new parts. You just have to put a primer on there before you put the paint on there. I used the sealer from Eastwood, and that worked very well. Also, the base coat was from Eastwood too, and it laid down very smooth. I'm pretty impressed with it. Painted the underside of the hood along with the top, and then the fender and the bumper and a couple little pieces. Overall, just glancing at it, it looks like it's gonna match up pretty well. We won't know until we put it all back on. One thing we will know is that this is gonna be a lot cleaner, no scratches on it or anything, and the rest of the car has some wear and tear on it. So this might be a little bit shinier, but after a year or so, it's all gonna match up pretty well, I believe. Worst case, we put all this on and it doesn't match at all and we have to repaint it. But at the end of the day, it's only a few parts, so not really that big of a deal. And this is an older 20-year-old truck, so not really too concerned if it's a little bit off, but I do want it to look good. Throw the hood on, throw the fender on, make sure it all lines up still correctly. Throw the bumper on, get those headlights all wired up. The new headlights I bought didn't come with the bulbs or anything, so hopefully the old ones line up with the new ones. Not really too sure yet. We gotta get all that wired up, and then we can take it for a first test drive. There's still a check engine light on there, so I'm gonna take it for a test drive, see if it turns off. If not, then we're gonna dig into that and try to fix that next. This just looks so good. I'm really happy I decided to put the newer generation front end on. I think it just makes it look better and more modern, newer. I really love how it turned out, and the paint matches surprisingly well. It's pretty close. So this part would be the best comparison of like the new paint versus the old paint. And it doesn't look that different. You can definitely tell this is a bit shinier, and that's to be expected because this is brand new paint. But overall, it matches pretty well. Looks good. I had to install a new antenna because the old antenna was all messed up on the old fender. Hood looks good, paint on the underside, top side. This vent is aftermarket, and definitely tell. I can't get it to stay down fully. There's a clip behind here that's supposed to clip down, but it's not wanting to stay, so I think I need to buy a new clip for that. I'll get that fixed before I sell it, along with a new emblem. The old emblem was too small for this new one, so I'll have to find that and order it. Everything else on the front end is put back together. I installed fog lights with a switch in there. Switch goes right here. It's a bit smaller than the rest of them, so I went ahead and ordered a new switch that's the right size. Also needed to order headlight bulbs because the old ones did not fit to these new ones, so I had to order new ones of those. And then the new emblem, I had to order that, and I can't find the emblem because it's a very hard part number to find for some reason. Everything else went smoothly putting this on. I took it for a little test drive, a couple miles, and it drove great, rode fine. The check engine light is still on and the same codes are still popping up. One is the knock sensor and the other one is like secondary vacuum pump thing, something like that. And it's this pump that sits right behind this headlight. I ordered a new knock sensor and also that assembly right here. I'm gonna get those things swapped out. I hope that fixes the issue. If not, we'll look into it a little bit further because I wanna get that check engine light off before I sell this thing. But we're almost done. We have just a few things to clean up, the emblem, this vent thing, and get that check engine light turned off. So let's go ahead and dig into this engine, get those parts taken out. Shouldn't be too bad. I got one of the check engine lights off. I got the knock sensor off, but the other one I can't seem to figure out. Went online, did a bunch of research, and everything is saying to replace this little pump system in the front. I replaced it twice and it's still there. Check engine light's still there. It's weird too because it runs perfectly fine. I really don't know what the issue is. Let me show you. Right up behind the intake was the knock sensor. All I had to do was just take the old one out and replace it with a new one, and that solved the issue. Also, the wiring was broke a little bit. That might have been the issue too, but the sensor was replaced also, and that light is completely gone. No more check engine light there. Now the other check engine light was calling to replace this thing, the secondary injection air or something or another. It's a very long code, and everything is saying to replace that, and that will solve the issue. But I replaced it once, thought maybe I got a bad one in, replaced it again, and it's still having an issue. So I looked around, make sure all the hoses were hooked up, and I noticed that this line had a crack in it, so I replaced it. This was a vacuum line, and it was cracked right up here. So I went ahead and replaced that, thinking that might be the issue, but it's still there, and I'm not really sure where else to go from here. So if you guys have any idea what it could be, all ears. I really don't know what else it could be. I tried ordering an emblem from the dealership, but they are on back order for months, so I don't know where to find one of those, but everything else works good. So check engine light, missing the emblem, and that's pretty much it. Inside is mostly clean. I need to vacuum it out again and get rid of those boxes. Also, I replaced the switch with the correct one, and it works perfectly fine now. Everything else in here looks good. The only light on the dash is the one check engine light. It's just the one. Cold AC running truck. It is pretty much ready to sell. I would really like to get that check engine light off, but if someone wants to buy it with it still on, then I'll still sell it. I might lower the price a little bit. Speaking of price, let's break it down. To start off, this is a 2005 Toyota Tacoma with 210,000 miles on it. It has a lot of miles, but these Toyotas hold up forever and they still sell for a lot of money, even with 300, 400,000 miles on it. If you don't believe me, go check your local Facebook marketplace. There is a lot on there. The price I paid for it wrecked was $2,500. A little on the high end. I would like to get a little bit less for it, but he was asking around $4,000 for it. He wasn't going to get anywhere near that, so I came in with like a $2,000 offer. He countered with 25, so we'll see. We'll see if I can make some money. Starting off with the front end, because the front end was the really only wrecked part about this. Needed a hood, a fender, bumper, and all that kind of stuff. The hood with the hood scoop was $373. The fender was $104. The whole bumper assembly was $138. And the radiator support, which is also a very important thing I needed, was $127. And then there was other things like the grille, the headlights, the bumper brackets, all those other little pieces that needed fixed. The total of just the body parts I needed to replace was $1,236 for all that. Now moving on to the interior, we had to replace a few things in here, such as the airbag, the seat belts, and the module. The replacement airbag was $140, and to have these seat belts rebuilt was $113. And then you need to reset the airbag module, which was $38. We replaced all that, then we figured out we need to replace the clock spring also, and that was $20. So that puts the whole total of the interior to $311. Moving on to the engine and stuff we need to fix in there, the knock sensor was $12. Vacuum hose was $3, tie rod end was $30, and the boot was free because it was already in the car. The previous owner gave it to me because he knew it needed done. Total for all that is $45. I'm gonna send back this vacuum because it didn't fix the issue, and that was like $50, so send that back, get my money back for that. Then there was some extra stuff like the fog lights, light bulbs. I needed to order a new antenna because the old one was bad. Just a bunch of little things like that, and that came out to $120-ish. Now lastly is the paint and bodywork. It's gonna be a little controversial. I already had all that in my possession. I did not buy any of that for this, so that was all free. If you want to add on an extra couple $100, you can, but for my expenses, it was free, so I'm not gonna add it in. So for all the repairs, it was right at $1,711 if I did my math correctly, and that puts the total price for this at $4,211. Kelley Blue Book lists this thing for right at $6,000-ish. That's what I'm going to start with. I don't know if I'm going to get that for it, considering this is an old truck. It has damage history, but it does have an updated front end. Also, the whole rebuild is documented, so people will know the amount of work that went into it. So with all that being said, let me know in the comments below, do you think it was worth the flip? Do you think it was worth my time? I probably put 30 hours in it, roughly. I didn't really keep track of that very well. Did I overpay for it? Could I have saved some money some other way? Let me know in the comments below. If you are interested in this, you can email me or find me on Instagram and message me there. You can email me or message me there if you have any interest in this. And also I will update you on the final sold price here in the comments. I will pin it Hopefully it sells soon, then we can move on to repairing more stuff or building new projects or what else we can do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tiny rebuild series, and I will catch you in the next one. Plenty more to do, plenty more to come. Thanks.